Okay, so what we have here is a basic flute kit, just to show you what some of it looks like. When you get it, it's going to come with about a yard, or for those folks out of the country, it's about a meter of leather lace here. And you basically want to, when you take this leather lace off, you want to save it, because it's what you're going to use to tie your flute block on to the flute with. And should be enough of it there for you, in case you make a mistake or break a piece or any of that kind of stuff. It'll come with a couple of sheets of sandpaper, 2 different grits. There's going to be a fine and a coarse, and you want to make sure you hold on to those. There'll be a piece inside that you can use for your flute block, and I'll show you what to do with that. And then you've got your 2 halves. It also comes with a nice little set of instructions to tell you how to put it together in case you don't have my videos on hand, where you need to refer to back, to doing something. If you notice, this is just a regular old flute blank. Looks a lot like the ones that we have here at home when we're making our flutes. Putting these guys together for you. This is made out of western cedar. It's a very soft and reasonably light wood. If you notice inside, there's some scar tissue. You can probably hear it with my finger running across it. But the scar tissue, you'll need to take a piece of your sandpaper, preferably the coarse bit of sandpaper that'll be with it. I like to fold mine, whatever's convenient to fit in your hands. Kind of shape it like a rounded piece there. And then you're going to want to sand inside of this thing, like this, to get it really nice and clean until you've got all these fibers smoothed off inside really well. If you've noticed, it's a little darker inside. That's because I've gone in and burnt the inside pieces with our torch, which they'll all come that way. I like to torch the wood for you. It helps the fibers to break off a lot easier. It makes it a lot smoother. There's a lot of good reasons to do it. But we're going to do that, put it together here, and I've got one I've already sanded a lot of the inside here for us for the program to kind of speed it up a little bit. And you'll notice that we've already put holes in it for you too. This flute, as you see from the website, is designed to be in the key of A. That doesn't mean when you finish it, it will be in the key of A. It just means that it's designed to be in the key of A, just like all the ones that I make that people request. I have gone in after drilling the holes out and burnt them with a 3/16 burning tool. And what I've done there is just basically cleaned up the holes for you a little bit. If you want to make it an A flute, you're probably going to have to make these holes a little bit larger. May not, it really depends, but that comes along in the tuning section. And for right now, since we've already sanded the inside, once again, just kind of roll this up and sand it like that. Be careful not to roll over the edge too much with your sandpaper. You don't want to round it off, because that'll make it where it doesn't fit together real nice and tight with this guy. And we're going to go ahead and grab some glue. Now you can use whatever kind of glue you have. I mean, really, over the years you've probably noticed that I used everything from Elmer's to my favorite Tight Bond glue. This is Gorilla Glue, which I'm giving a try here now to see how it works for me. No complaints so far. It's been pretty good stuff. Looks like my bottle may be a little stuck up on the end there, which that happens. But so far so good on this Gorilla Glue. Any of you advanced woodworkers that watch our videos and are interested in checking something else out, I've been happy with this stuff. But I still like my Tight Bond. That's some good glue. But once again, for this particular project, you can use anything from Elmer's glue to a particular kind of glue called hide glue. You can make that out of Knox gelatin. Things like hide glue and gelatin are the reason that we're vegetarian these days, which is kind of funny. But we're just going to go all the way down the edge here and make certain that we have just a nice little bead on it. I do recommend using a glue that is non-toxic, okay? And in doing so here, we have a nice little bead of it all the way down and right here. And I see one thing that I forgot to show you we're going to have to go back and do here, but I make mistakes too. I'm going to wipe this bit of the glue off right there, because I'm taking for granted a lot of you may not have a drill press on hand. And we just want to take a nice flat edge here and draw us a line right in the middle of that guy, and then we're going to take the other piece that's not got any glue on it. Same deal here, just draw us a nice little line. Oops, straight line that is. This really should be in the outtakes, but draw us a nice little line there. Forget the crooked one. And from this point, a lot of what you can do can be done with a pocket knife. You guys have seen my little pocket knife several times. This guy is always on me. I'm never without a knife. A couple of buildings I have to go to, I'm not allowed to carry knives, but everywhere else is with me. We're just going to push this guy out. We're going to push some grain just like that right out of the flute blank. And you can do it that way. You can do it like this if you like, to cut kind of an angle in it. A regular kitchen knife will do this kind of thing. Something with serrated edges may even work better for you. Now myself, I do of course have lots of drills and burning tools at my disposal and all that kind of thing, so it's not too difficult for me to drill this out, but I wanted to make it convenient for you, so it looked like something that would be a little easier for you guys to do. Or gals. That's right, guys. Lots of flute making gals out there. One of them holding the camera right now, but there's been lots of them that emailed and asked questions. And flute making grandmothers and grandfathers, gosh, those are my favorite, because they've always got flute making grandkids there with them. I'm so impressed. Some of you probably know which ones I'm talking about. Okay, so there's a nice little track. How about that? And then we're going to do the same thing with this other guy. Fortunately, as you may hear from the rain, it is a rainy day project today, and it's a little damp outside. So this is really soft wood. I don't recommend doing this near your hand. If you see, looks like I'm trying to stab myself there. But it just takes you a little bit of time to get the centerpiece out. And the name of the game here is ingenuity. You know, you can do this with a drill if you have one. Instead of doing it right now, you could wait till it's put together and then drill it out, but it looks like I've done a pretty fair job. Anybody seen my video making the flute in the park with just a pocket knife? Get this guy out of place here. Wipe some of the excess glue off of my fingers. Put a little bit more back in place. Probably lots of you sitting at home thinking, I wonder if this was staged or if he really did forget to put the hole on the top. Well, I can tell you like this is the second take. Just kidding. So we've got a little bit of glue. Try not to get it in the track area. Hindsight is 20/20. Okay, make sure we got nice glue everywhere. Line these guys up so that they're together. Try to wipe off any excess glue from the outside that you can. And from this point, I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of ways you can put this flute together. Back in the old days, when Indian people did glue flutes together, which I know it sounds crazy, but Native Americans had some of the best glue you've ever heard of, or rather never heard of. Back when people used to glue their flutes together, a lot of them used things like pine pitch or tar, and when they tied them together, they used rawhide or leather strips, just like this. These leather strips here are some recycles that we're using just to tie stuff. We do that once in a while. It's always leftovers from putting flutes together. Okay. Want to make sure that your edges of the flute, while this thing's nice and wet and not dried together yet, are even. You want to make sure that they're put together even on both sides. It'll help you out a lot in the long run. You're welcome to wipe off any excess glue like I'm doing here. And honestly, if you don't have any scrap leather ties laying around, rubber bands do an excellent job. One of my very good professional flute making buddies swears by rubber bands and inner tubes. This dude makes some of the most beautiful flutes, and some of you out there may know who, well, at least the flute making group I'm talking about, because they make flutes out of things that don't look like straight wood. Anyway, he uses a lot of inner tubes, even on ones that he makes out of straight wood. He said he's learned his lesson. Now if you notice, I've tied this, but there's still a gap in there. I think you can see that gap. I just want to make sure that that's sealed up nice and tight, because I can squeeze it and you'll see glue come out of it. So that means it's not tied tight enough. Let's see if I can do this without breaking the leather strap. If you don't get it tight enough the first time, go back over the same area with another piece of something, leather, rubber band, string. Keep in mind that this is really soft wood, and that the wood can leave an indentation if you use something too hard like nylon cord to tie this together with. We just need to tie it together so that we can see that the glue is squishing through the cracks. And I think I've got it a little bit better. I need to tie just one more time. Whoop, no, I think it's got it. Just need a little bit of push there. Keep it straight. It's some tricky stuff, right? So once you get this all tied together, you want to go back over it, just give it the once over, look at it, make sure there's no areas that the glue is not either squeezing out the sides, or you don't want to have any gaps in there. You see how this gap appears on the end? I'm about to tie that all together. I don't recommend using the leather that comes with it to tie it together, because this leather is going to have some glue stuck to it, and you don't want to make your flute all ugly. And it looks like, I think I've got it there. There's one little gap here. Let me find one more piece of leather. Fortunately, in the shop here, we've got leather laying all over the floor because we haven't cleaned it out yet. Some of you are probably saying, "Yet he never cleans that shop out." Well, you're probably right. Half the time it's my wife and kids while I'm filling other orders. But just find you a little piece of something, some kind of soft string, cotton string probably would work. Get it all glued together. If you have any doubts whether it's glued together, well, give it a little squeeze like I am. And if you give it a squeeze and no glue comes out the crack, then you probably got it glued together well. Just whatever you do, don't squeeze it together in the middle with a clamp. That's going to probably bust this because it's hollow and there's nothing in the middle for it to squeeze against. So don't use a clamp on this flute. But you need to do that, let it dry overnight, give it enough time to really cure out, and let it sit there undisturbed, make sure it doesn't get wet. And then the next step is going to be, basically finishing up the flute. Pretty easy stuff. So let's wait overnight and we'll get started again tomorrow. Okay, so we've taken the leather straps off of it, and as you see, there's some leather that's kind of stuck to the glue that's on here. Likewise, once again, if you used your good leather to tie it together with, it'd be some wood stuck to the leather, so I'd recommend not doing that. But it's a little bit on the rough side. We need to clean this up, which we're about to do, and looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like a flute so far. So take your coarse sandpaper first. Any of you that don't know General Woodworking 101, and I kind of folded it, whatever way fits your hand best. But this way, some of the sandpaper is touching my hand, and some of it's touching the wood, and it keeps it from slipping out of my hand better. So back and forth, and I usually twist it around and around while I'm twisting, sanding, and twisting and sanding. It's kind of like a washing machine, I guess. But you want to do this until you get it kind of smooth, and then when you're done with this grade of sandpaper, you'll go to the next one, to the fine sandpaper. You just keep on sanding and sanding and sanding. Okay, so we've basically spent all that time hand sanding this flute, and like I say, you just want to make sure that it's as nice and smooth as you possibly can make it. Make it as round as possible with the sandpaper. If it looks like it's nice and round over here but too flat over there, just hold the sandpaper over here and go back and forth like that. If you notice, there's some little chips in here. I don't know if you can see them or not, but that's not really a big deal. Still makes a great flute. Those chips have come from the drilling, burning process. Sometimes sanding process knocks a chip out. It'll be okay. Here in the shop, what we'll do is we'll go back and reburn these with a bigger burning rod. Some of you may not have burning tools, I understand, so it's no problem. I would like to, at this point, refer you back to my video of making the flute in the park. It's best not to use a knife in here like this, but if you take a stick and trim it down so that it's like pencil shaped, you can use the stick to go in there and it'll enlarge the holes for you, which is a great way to retune the holes if you decide you need to. These holes here, they were already kind of at an angle already from our burning process, and I've noticed when I blew in here, you can hear some air coming through, which is great because that's what we want to do. But what we need to do now is we need to go and make the track area. And as most of you know, I build my track area into the flute itself, which is convenient, not just for me, but for you guys for doing this kind of thing. And the track area needs to go between these two holes. This is the air supply hole, and this is the sound hole. And we need to just basically carve that out, but just a little bit, so you got to be so careful. I'm going to use my pocket knife, just like I did in the part video. And all I'm going to do is go here and kind of draw it out with my knife. These lines I'm going to trace. It's just like coloring. Happy little flutes. I'm just going to gouge out just a little area and very carefully, I mean very carefully, just kind of go back in and get some of this out. This is where a lot of people are going to make a mistake. And if you feel like you might be one of those people, my suggestion is take your time. I'm doing this quickly for purpose of the video, so that you guys don't have to sit here forever and watch me do it. But there's so many different ways to do this. Oh my gosh. You know, you could use a cardboard fingernail file to do this and not get half the scar tissue that I have right now. Not get really any scar tissue. How much pressure you push down, all that kind of thing determines a lot of how much wood you take out. I'm doing it this way. This is probably the old-fashioned woodworker, you know, hand-carving pocket knife, sitting on the porch swing and having a glass of lemonade type style. But I suggest to all of you to do whatever way you feel most comfortable. There's one little piece in there that's bothering me, because you got to get it all the way across. It's got to be nice and flat too. And right now I've got some lines in there. There we go. Just take your time. Like I say, there's the pocket knife method for you. Another good way you could do it, if you take a piece of sandpaper and kind of push this, watch my fingers here, push this down square like that. Get some glue off my fingers. Push this down square and just sand back and forth. It'll take you a little bit of time. 1,000 years ago, people would have been tickled to have something that was already this far put together for them. So taking your time to do this is not a bad idea. You can actually make this entire track area just with the edge of that sandpaper without even using a knife. But like I say, I'm in a hurry. To be honest with you, with this video here, it's taken me longer to make this flute than it normally would. So you can imagine how much of in a hurry I am trying not to be right now. So look at it, check the gouge, make sure it looks deep enough. You want it about, say, the thickness of, say, a sheet of paper folded maybe 4 times, just a regular sheet of paper. You want it to be about that deep. And if you check, you can probably see, if you can see it that well there, but that's about how thick it is. So, piece of paper folded 4 times deep, and you want it uniform. So that's why I suggest just doing the sandpaper method like this. Once again, take a pair of scissors to a cardboard fingernail file, cut it the width that you need it, and sand across there. And just keep going till it's nice and smooth. Smooth the top out a little bit. Make sure it's nice and flat. There we go. That's not too shabby. And then you're going to take your block, make sure there's no fibers or anything on your block, that it's not loose fibers or anything, and you're going to put it right up there so that it sits right behind the sound hole. Once again, refer to your instructions for all this. So many different steps and videos we've made already. I want to get back up and get a focus of me here. Tying this guy, I'll hold it in a different angle. So, let's see. I'll leave that one like it is. And then, I'm tying it right-handed here. Sorry about that, guys. I used to tie stuff left-handed. People are like, well, you are using your left hand. Yeah, but I'm tying a right-handed knot. A little trivia out there, I'm not really left or right-handed. I was born ambidextrous. So tie it together, pull it like this, knot through the hole. You can either find some miraculous way to do it, or I don't recommend sticking leather in your mouth like I do. It's a bad idea. Bad habit to get into. Now, here's a part where I hope it plays, because I haven't tested this yet. Sounds pretty good. Sounds like it's getting a little bit air clogged there, because I think we need to make the track a little bit deeper, but you've got a nice little flute. Now, if you want to go back and watch some of our tuning videos and see how basically you tune a flute, you can follow those. This flute here, I believe, if my ear is telling me right, it's about a G right now, and a lot of you are like, oh, that's great. Personally, I would make it an A as it was designed to be, because the A flute's going to be a lot clearer. To do that, you're going to need to make these holes bigger like we talked, and you're going to need to cut the end of it off. And you're going to have some kind of fancy tuner, whether it be on your cell phone. I use a program called G String, no laughing, but I use that program back on my cell phone just to tune flutes, so it's a great tuning program. But you see that you can make a beautiful sounding, nice finished wooden flute with materials that aren't too expensive, I don't think. We try to make them reasonable. I mean, everybody asks for something like this, so that's why we wanted to put it together for you. But there you have it, a nice wooden flute made out of western cedar, flute kit. You know, pretty simple to put together, I think. And of course, if you have any questions, please refer to all the videos we have. If you can't find the answer there, send me a message. You know, we like to hear ideas about new videos. I've got some new videos coming up soon that are going to be answering some really excellent questions. The last videos we've made, we're answering some really excellent questions. But you've got a nice flute, something that you can be proud of. You made and finished yourself from a blank that you purchased, and there you have it. But anyway, and once again, you know, I hope you guys enjoy the video and you find some use in it. Sorry for the mess in the shop. Next video will probably be all clean and spotless, because we'll try to make a video during one of the cycles when it is, because it gets dirty so quick. You guys take care. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy happy flute making. So don't forget to visit us on our website, BlueBearFlutes.com. Our Facebook is BlueBear Arts. And once again, I'm Charlie Mato-Toyela. Signing out.